The day begins with a kind of deceptive peace. On Fraser's Ridge, mornings carry a rhythm that has become familiar. The smell of wood smoke, the sound of animals stirring, the quiet between people who have lived long enough together to need no words. It is the kind of stillness that can fool you into thinking nothing will change. But the land has always had its own ideas about that. Amy McCallum heads out with a small group of women, Brianna, Izzy, and Rachel, to pick blueberries. It is an ordinary errand, the sort of task that barely warrants a second thought, but the wilderness surrounding the ridge does not distinguish between the significant and the mundane. It does not pause for the weight of what it is about to take. A bear crosses the wrong path at the wrong moment, and Amy McCallum, a young woman still becoming who she might have been, does not survive the encounter. Her death lands on the community like a stone dropped into still water. The grief spreads outward to her husband, to her sons, to the women who were standing just close enough to feel helpless. There is no warning that can truly prepare you for this kind of loss. There is only the moment before and the long stretch of everything after. In the aftermath of Amy's death, something unexpected happens between Claire and Elspeth Cunningham. These two women have circled each other warily since Elspeth's arrival. Different in temperament, different in history, different in almost every way that matters on the surface. But grief has a way of stripping away the unnecessary. It presses people together in the rawness of a shared moment, and suddenly the walls built out of wariness and unfamiliarity become a little harder to maintain. Elspeth, who had seemed so guarded and difficult to reach, becomes someone else in the presence of this loss. Not unrecognizable, but softer at the edges, more present in a way she had not allowed herself to be before. Claire, who has spent a lifetime learning how to hold other people's pain alongside her own, meets her there. It is not a dramatic reconciliation, it is quieter than that. It is two women standing in the same grief and choosing, however briefly, not to stand alone in it. Such moments do not fix what is difficult between people, but they open a door that had been closed, and that is sometimes enough to change what comes next. Life does not wait for mourning to finish before announcing itself. Even as the ridge absorbs the loss of Amy McCallum, Rachel gives birth to her and Ian's first child, a son, arriving into the world with what might be called appropriate timing, or might simply be called the indifference of nature to human schedules. The birth itself goes smoothly. Ian is beside her. Rachel, who has endured her share of hardship with a Quaker steadiness that sometimes borders on the miraculous, brings her child into the world with that same quiet strength. And Ian Murray, who has traveled a long and complicated road to reach this room, this moment, this child, is undone in the best possible way. For those who know Ian's history, the weight of this birth is impossible to overstate. He was once married among the Mohawk. He and his first wife, Emily, lost a child together. And when Emily divorced him by the customs of her people, Ian learned later that she had carried another of his children to term, a son he never knew, never held, never raised. He has lived with that absence for years, a hollow shape in his life that no amount of adventure or loyalty or love had been able to fill. Now there is a boy in his arms. His boy. And whatever name they finally settle on, the child already carries something more important. The full and undivided presence of a father who understands more than most what it means to almost miss this. The past refuses to stay buried. It never does in this story. Jamie and Claire return, as they have more than once, to the question of Frank Randall's book, the one that contains a prophecy of Jamie's death. Claire refuses to accept it as settled. Her refusal is not denial. Exactly. It is the defiance of a woman who has cheated fate before and sees no reason to stop now. but she is also troubled by something she cannot quite resolve. Why Frank wrote the book at all. He had made her promise to stop searching for Jamie. He had asked her to let go. And yet, here is evidence that he spent considerable effort tracing the life of the very man he had asked her to forget. Jamie offers her a theory, and it is a quietly devastating one. He suggests that Frank was not really looking for him, not for Jamie Fraser, the man, the rival, the husband who waited. He was looking for proof that Claire existed in the decades after Culloden, that she had survived, that she had returned to the past. Because if he could find that proof, he would know with certainty that she had left him. Not just in the way that people drift apart, but truly and finally and irreversibly left. Frank found what he was looking for. And the book, Jamie concludes, may be his way of answering. A prophecy written not by a historian, but by a man with a wound that never healed. Frank Randall does not appear on screen in this episode, but his voice is heard. And now, for the first time, Jamie knows whose voice it is. The episode opens with a memory. A young Benjamin Gray stands beside his brother Henry and his cousin William at some earlier, easier point in their lives. William gives Ben a small tin soldier, a token, an affection made tangible, the kind of object that boys give each other when they do not yet have the words for what they mean. Ben promises to keep it always. That promise is what unravels everything. William receives word that Ben died in a rebel camp, taken by illness, they say, while held as a prisoner. It is the kind of news that is supposed to close a door. Instead, it opens one. William travels to the camp himself, quietly, carefully, asking the questions that grief and suspicion tend to generate together. A young soldier there tells him something small but significant. The last time he saw Ben had seemed to be recovering, not dying, getting better. William searches through Ben's belongings with the methodical focus of a man who already suspects he will not like what he finds. The tin soldier is not there. Ben had promised to keep it on him always, and it is gone. That absence is enough. It is not proof of anything, not yet. But it is the kind of detail that lodges itself behind the eyes and refuses to leave. The episode ends with William standing at Ben's grave, shovel in hand, past the point of uncertainty. He begins to dig. Whatever is in that grave or is not in that grave, he needs to know. And the audience, watching him work in the dark, understands that whatever he finds is going to matter for a long time to come. And that's it from me. If you liked this video, subscribe to ShowSlab, new reviews dropping every week. Comment below what you want reviewed next. Peace.